What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to talk about Al Ator. Albert Ator is his name. He was a contender out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, heavyweight. And he was born November 19th, 1913, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Died November 15th, 1988 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Very interesting scenario with Al Ator. You see, he was born in November and he died in November. And he had his professional debut in June, and his last fight was in June. I always thought that was very interesting. Teddy used to tell me a lot of stories about Al Ator. Al Ator was a very good Jewish heavyweight, and he knew Teddy. Teddy knew him for several years. And he told me a lot of stories about Al Ator. Now, Al Ator fought from June 14th, 1930 to June 26, 1939. His first fight was against a fighter by the name of Graver Hayes, and his last fight was against Maxie Rosenblum. He was stopped 3 times. Maxie Rosenblum, as you know, would become light heavyweight champion of the world. Ator had a fighting career record of 83 total bouts, 62 wins, 17 losses, 20 knockouts, and he was stopped 6 times. He had 4 draws. But he was against some very, very good names, as we'll learn. He won his first 39 bouts before losing his first 3 losses, or having his first 3 losses. 2 of them were to Abe Feldman, New York's Madison Square Garden, March 9th and January 13th, 1934. Now, Abe Feldman stood 5 foot 11 inches. He had a 73-inch reach. It was a very interesting fight. These 2 men fought twice, and sometimes it's hard to solve a puzzle with a fighter. Abe Feldman was just one of those fighters. And Feldman was a light heavyweight. And the thing about Al Ator, he was in a ring with Jimmy Braddock. And Jimmy Braddock, they called him the Cinderella Man. As you know, he fought Joe Louis. He fought John Henry Lewis and many others. But Al Ator was in a ring with Jimmy Braddock. Al Ator would also lose to one-punch Larry Johnson. He could punch. They called him Larry One-Punch Johnson. Black fighter, stood 6 foot 1 inch. And he can knock you to sleep if he caught you clean. Fought him at the Convention Hall, Camden, New Jersey, Friday, April 13th, 1934. 8-round points. 20-year-old Al Ator, tried very hard but came up short with Larry One-Punch Johnson. And Al Ator would also lose to a heavyweight opponent of Joe Louis. His name was Charlie Macera. Charlie Macera was another good fighter. Fought him in New York, Madison Square Garden. It was at the Garden Bowl in Long Island City, Queens. Now, what's interesting about that arena, no one has ever defended their title there. Matter of fact, Henry Armstrong had defeated Barney Ross in 1938. Took his title away from him. And became the welterweight champion of the world. At the Long Island Bowl, Madison Square Garden. Barney Ross would exchange titles with Jimmy McLarnin. So many fights were held at the Long Island Bowl in Madison Square Garden, Queens. Al Ator would also defeat 6-foot Philadelphia heavyweight Willie Ruddish. To me, that was his best win. I'll tell you why. Willie Ruddish is very underrated. He was an outstanding fighter. Willie Ruddish was in the ring with Elmer Violent Ray. Won one and lost one. Lee Q. Murray had a draw with him. Wallace Cross defeated him. Abe Simon, 1 win, 1 loss. Eddie Blunt lost to him. Roscoe Tallis defeated him. Tiger Jack Fox lost to him. Let me tell you about Tiger Jack Fox. John Henry Lewis was stripped of his light heavyweight championship belt in 1938 because he didn't defend it against Tiger Jack Fox. Tiger Jack Fox was an explosive fighter. Good jab. For that time, he could move. Through body punches, uppercuts. He was a threat to many fighters. So it's not a bad loss to Tiger Jack Fox. He would face Phil Johnson. Phil Johnson was the father of Harold Johnson. Future light heavyweight champion. Was in the ring with Archie Moore 5 times. Defeated Phil Johnson. Was in the ring with John Henry Lewis. Lost to him. Obie Walker. Defeated Obie Walker. Obie Walker was a colored heavyweight champion. Jack Trammell defeated him. Pal Silvers defeated him. Curtis the Hatchman Shepherd defeated him. Eddie Sims defeated him. Joe Louis' opponent, Eddie Sims. Lem Franklin lost to him. Jersey Joe Walcott lost to him. Leroy Haynes lost to him. Towards the end of his career. Willie Ruddish, very good Philadelphia fighter. He would train Meldrick TNT Taylor. Taylor was the 1984 gold medalist. He would win the welterweight championship belt over Aaron Superman Davis, junior welterweight championship belt, the IBF version, James Buddy McGirt. He would defeat a fighter by the name of Glenwood the Real Beast Brown. That really impressed me. He lost to Julio Cesar Chavez, Terry Norris. Willie Ruddish, an outstanding fighter. And that was a very good victory for Al Latour. Al Latour was also in the ring with Charlie Ratliff. Fought him January 24th, 1935, St. Paul's Auditorium. Lost to him. Charlie Ratliff, another good fighter. Joe Louis hit him with a left hook. And that was the first impressive opponent that Joe Louis would face. Put him on the map. Charlie Ratliff was a good fighter, so that wasn't a bad loss. Al Latour defeated Art Sykes March 1st, 10 rounds. And defeated him again March 18th. And stopped him in the 7th round. 1935. May 20th, 1935, he would lose to light heavyweight former champion Tommy Loughran. He would defeat Billy Jones and Steve Du Bois, Leroy Haynes, Artur Godoy. 10 rounds. It would be a draw at the Hippodrome in New York. Artur Godoy was from Chile. He was in the ring with Joe Louis twice. January 4th, 1937, faced light heavyweight champion John Henry Lewis. It was a controversial decision. They would flip the scoring, and it would have to do it again 2 more times. February 8th, 1937. Artur lost on 15-round decision. Fought him again June 15th, 1937. Lost again in 15 rounds, unanimous decision. So he had title opportunities. Tuesday, September 22nd, 1936. He was in the ring with Joe Louis. Joe Louis at that time had a fighting record of 25-1. He had already lost to Max Schmeling. It was at the Municipal Stadium, Philadelphia. 5th round knockout. Scheduled for 15. I'm sorry, it was scheduled for 10. And Joe Louis, my God, he hit him with a left hook. Caught him off the ropes. And Alator really hustled. He really gave it a good go. You got to give him credit for that. But the left hook he caught from Joe Louis coming off them ropes. Oh, my God. Alator was a tough guy, man. He was a tough fighter. But he was in the ring with Tony Galento, lost to him. Bob Pastor lost to him, and Johnny Paycheck. Maxie Rosenblum. Rosenblum at that time, let me just clear that up, had a fighting record of 222 bouts. Victories, actually, and 28 knockouts. He lost to Maxie Rosenblum. Maxie Rosenblum had a lot of experience at that time. It's a third-round knockout in Los Angeles. And that was his last fight. So Alator, I've always liked Alator. Very, very good fighter was Alator. And I just wanted to expose him today. Had a grandson, Jared, and very good family man was Alator. Had a subscriber that asked me about Alator, and I said, let me just do something on Alator. But Teddy told me a lot about Alator. He was always impressed with him. They were very good friends. R.I.P. to Alator, and I just want to shout him out right here on the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. All great fights and all great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. Salute to Alator. Salute to my subscribers. Thanks for your time. Peace.